In this video, we want to talk about the process for searching for clients. It's very important that we search properly for clients. We want to not only avoid duplicating clients, but we want to make sure that we have all of the information in the client record by finding that client record and adding information to it each time we see a client. We're going to start the process for searching for a client by first locating the head of households record in our intakes and starting with the head of households. It's important to always work from the head of households record in this workflow for the service point model. Once I've located the client's record, the head of households record in my packet, I'm going to start by clicking on Client Point, and I see that once I'm in Client Point, I'm in the search screen, and I have a few methods for searching for a client. First of all, I can search for the client by client ID. If I happen to know their ID, it will take me directly to the record. So for clients that I've seen before, if I've recorded their ID, it's a very handy tool. For those who I have not seen or looked up or recorded their client ID, I'm going to start the search in one of three ways. I have a Social Security number search that I can use. I can use the name search, or I can use the alias search. In each case, we're going to do a partial search or a partial text search on those fields instead of looking for an exact match, because the less we put in, the more matches we get, and more is better when it comes to search results. Make sure we don't duplicate a client. So I'm going to start by clicking on the third field of the Social Security number fields and type in my partial Social Security number, and then clicking on the search button. Once I do that, the screen will scroll down and show me any results that I might have for the client search, and in this case I have no matches, so I know that I don't have anyone with those 4 digits in their Social Security number. It actually searches the whole field and not just the last 4. So I'm going to then click on Clear to remove that partial Social Security number, and I'm going to do a partial name search. In this case, I'm searching for Mona Wright, so I'm going to put in 2 characters from her first name, usually the first 2, and 2 characters from her last name. Put in the first 2 characters as well. Like I said, the less you put in is better, because you'll get more results. Once I do that, I'm going to click on Search and see what results I do get. In this case, I get no matches again for the partial first name, partial last name search. So I'm going to do my last partial search, and that's on the alias. And I'll start that by clicking Clear once again to remove the other information from the other fields that I've already searched on, and put in partial alias. In this case, I know she goes by the nickname or an alias of Isabel, so I'm going to type in 2 characters from that alias, IS for Isabel, and then I'll click on Search once again. In this case, I see that I get a number of hits on that search. In this case, I'm looking at 1 through 4 of 4 possible matches. And interestingly, when I look at the alias field, I see that only one of those aliases actually is a match, Isabel, or contains IS. That means that these other fields, these other names were become hits for some other reason. If I look closely at their first name, I'll see that each of them has an IS in their first name as well. So the alias field is most powerful in that it not only searches for that partial string, the IS in this case, in the alias field, but it also searches the first name as well. This search will give us probably the most hits of any, and in the case if I get too many hits on this field in this search, I may want to put in a 3rd character from the alias to narrow it down. But in this case, 4 hits is not very many to do our search on. I can see by the first one right away that the Social Security number was not a very good match. The age, by the date of birth, may not be a very good match, but I still might want to rule out this record because this could very well be our Isabel Wright with some other information given. In this case, I can look at the record by clicking on the pencil or I can click on the name of the client and it will take me to this client ID, client number 36, to look at their records. So I'll click on the name, and I see once I get in here, I have information available to me. I can see what expenses they have for the projects they might have been enrolled in. I can see what other family members might join the project, and it may be the same family members I'm looking at now. Or I can look at who else has been serving them if there's a case manager that's been assigned from our agency, and possibly find out more. I can actually go into the project entry, in this case, the pencil, by clicking on the pencil, and see what other data there might be on that client in the project entry, if I thought this could be a match. But in this case, I can tell pretty well that this is not a good match for us by age and social security number, and the other family members don't appear to be the same at all. So what will I do? Next I'll click on Client Point once again to go back to my search and continue searching for my client, the client if I need to. So I've done all 3 searches, but I want to make sure by looking at these other 3 clients that there's not a potential match there as well. So I'll check their date of birth, their social security numbers as well, to see if there's a potential mistype. Gender is a pretty good clue, and I can also look here at what other household members they might be involved in by clicking on this magnifying glass, and that will give me an idea what members, if any, that might match my current intake. At this point, I've exhausted my search and I don't find any other matches. I want to make sure that I do an exhaustive search each time, because we have a mandate in collecting this data that we reduce duplications to the very lowest point possible. So that concludes our video on doing searches. Please do an excellent job of searching for your client.